Hey coaches, welcome back to Black Football Nation. I'm Coach Adam. Today we're going to be going over how to beat the 1-3-1 defense. And first off, I want to say thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. We just hit 250 subscribers. Um, and the intro to the air raid, the first video that I uploaded on this channel has just reached 1,000 views. So that's both of those are pretty big benchmarks to me. So I just want to thank every single one of you uh, for allowing me to try to teach you guys, or you need some extra resources. Thank you for viewing my channel. Is trying what I'm trying to say. So thank you all to who have subscribed, who have watched the video. If you haven't subscribed, I would greatly appreciate it if you did. Um, Also, if you want to check out the Patreon, we just released three flag pulling drills that I love that has yielded some really good results for me. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave a description down below. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into 10 plays that beat the 1-3-1 defense. So what is the 1-3-1 defense? Well, the 1-3-1 defense, as the name suggests, we have one defender up close, three defenders at a medium range, and then one deep defender here. Okay, so the linebacker in this case is right in front of the center, usually always right in front of the center. And then we have corners across from our outside receivers, and then we have a rusher or a middle defender about 7 yards in the middle of the field, and then behind them at about 10 yards is um, the safety. And so there are three different setups that I've seen um, used in this defense. This defense is a very um, it can be used in a lot of different ways. And so the first setup that I see is where the linebacker is manned up on the center at all times, while the corners are in middle to deep zones. They don't go short, but they go deep when necessary. The rusher is in a middle zone, and then the safety has deep rover. Okay. So the second setup that I see is the blitz. And so the rusher will blitz and the linebacker will drop to the middle zone and play that way. And then I've also seen where everybody's just going to drop. Everybody's just going to play coverage um, in this sort of spectrum here. Okay. And so all 10 of these plays are going to beat um, each of these defenses to a varied degree. I just wanted to go through what the 1-3-1 defense is before we go ahead and head into our first play. And so the first play that we have is slot outs. Okay, and so this is a great play to go against a one high defense in general, because usually one high defenses have corners that are off. If you remember the 4-1 video that I released that started this series, slot outs was another great play for us. And so let's go ahead and break down why that is this case as well. Well, as you can see, the X has a horribly drawn outside release. We're going to take one step outside, and then we're going to go down the field. We want to try to beat the deep defender. We want them to carry with you. And so what we're doing here is we are causing the corners to go back in order to open up the outs by the center and the Y. So in our first setup where the linebacker is manned up on the center, okay, so the center is going to run down the field. The man's going to go with him. He's going to cut out, okay. But the thing is we want to try to out leverage this linebacker with this out route here, okay. But what we're really looking for here, this is what I would recommend against this defense here, is if you're getting the linebacker manned up on the center, we want to look at the YZ side, because now this corner is put into a bind. Either they can go deep with the mandatory outside release, or they can come short for the out route. And as long as our quarterback reads it correctly, it'll be wrong. And so if you're looking at this defense, you can flip it both ways. So if you're like, okay, coach, they're keying in on this out to with this rusher, you say, okay, you can flip the formation, or what you can do is you can motion them across. If you want to motion them across and then run the out while the center goes the opposite way, that can be something that can fool the defense a little bit. All right, so that's what I like um, against this defense. Especially the if the linebacker is manned up, then we know which side we're going to. We're going to go to this Y side because I think that my Y can get to this area of the field here before this rusher can. Okay. Plus, this rusher is most likely going to guard the middle of the field. We're not going to go out here where this corner zone is supposed to be. It's highly unlikely that they're going to go over here. So just remember that as coaches, we're not beating other coaches. We're trying to beat the insert your age group here players. Okay, so whether that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 to 17, whatever that may be. And so just think about it that way. We don't want to try to reinvent the wheel. Coach, what if this happens? Coach, what if that happens? If you live in what ifs, then it's gonna cause a lot more confusion, a lot more stress than it really is. That's what I found out. Don't try to overcomplicate things. So this rusher is not going to come over here. So either this corner goes back to guard the outside release, or he comes up to guard the out. As long as our quarterback reads it correctly, all we're reading is if we're playing this defense, we're reading Z to Y. We're going green, blue. So if this corner comes up, we're going to throw that ball about here. That safety is not going to be able to come across. Okay. Now, if the quarterback's late and the safety reads it, then yeah, he'll be able to come over there. But if we do it on time and read it correctly, that safety has too much ground to cover. And then if the corner backs up, now we have this out at 5 yards. That is good for us. Okay. And so very similarly, if it's the blitz, who's my hot? Okay. Well, the out route versus the Y is going to be the hot. So we're just going to say, set, turn, throw. So as soon as you catch that snap, you're going to look into this direction. You're going to throw that out route. Okay. Now, if your corner starts to come up a bit, make a coaching point. Hey, they're starting to jump this out route. So don't be afraid to take that whole shot to that Z right there and score 6 points. All right. So that it's just an easy, quick scheme. And even if they're running just straight zone, okay? If they're running straight zone, again, the center's going to force this linebacker to come out. He's not going to just go directly out here, okay? He's just going to move back with the center, and we're still reading this corner here. That's what's beautiful about this play against this defense is because that with the corner backed up, they're allowing us to have space on the outside in less than 5 yards. If they're lining up at about 7, they usually line up with where the rusher lines up. And for NFL flag standpoint, that is 7 yards is where the blitz lines at. So ace slot outs is a fantastic play to run against a 1-3-1 defense. All right, so continuing with, we have ace slot out, but we're going to pair it with smash. All right, so all we're doing, the backside, the X has a go if that's easier for you. A mandatory outside release is not necessarily mandatory, just because usually mandatory outside releases help whenever the corners are up front, because what we want to do is we want the corner to turn their head with the receiver. and face towards the sideline, rather than, if they're back here, they're not going to do that. Okay, so with the linebacker manned up, again, we're going to be looking towards the strong side. Okay, we're picking on this corner here. All right, the Z is going to run a five-step hitch. Five-step hitch. I'm sorry, it's going to be a three-step hitch. Okay, and then the Y is going to run a seven-step or 10-yard corner. All right, so now we're just reading this corner again because the safety has two things it needs to worry about. It sees the Y's going down the field. We're going 7 steps. Our right foot should be back. And so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Plant with that 7th foot. If your right foot's back, it should be that left foot on the 7th step. And then we're going to aim for the front pylon. That's the aiming point you should do. And then we have this mandatory outside release that, does my guy need help on? So this safety's got his hands full, or their hands full, as far as what we're going to do. And if we're selling deep on both of those, they're going to back up. And so how I tell my quarterback to read this is if you see this open space here, we're going to go ahead and throw it. If there's a defender in that space, we're going to go to the next read. But if the defender is leaving that area open, go ahead, throw that sucker. Lay it out there so your athlete at Y can go get it. All right? So if the corner backs up, now we have 5 yards of free space to throw it to the Z. So how we're reading it is we're reading it Y first to Z. All right? And that pretty much goes for every coverage that I've gone through. All right? So in a rushing standpoint, if they blitz, our hot is going to be the Z. So it's set, turn, throw it to the Z. All right? So that's really what we're looking for when it comes to that play. And then even when they're running just straight zone, one of two things is going to happen. Either the corner is going to see the Z sit and he's going to come up, and now we have the corner, or the corner is going to see the Y move, and they're going to move back, and we're going to throw the Z. So another great concept to run against this one high scheme. And so we'll go ahead and move on to the next play. All right, so very similar to Smash in itself. We're putting in multiple people in a bind here on this play, depending on what the defense does. So ace Y corner, if you want more of a detailed breakdown, go ahead and leave a link to the video I did when we went over our 5-on-5 air raid scheme. That'll be in the top right. But so first scheme, what we're doing here is we're linebackers manned up on the center. So they're going to go with the center to the flat. All right. So basically, excuse me. Basically, the linebackers just going to be out here. Okay, that's how we're going to look at it. All right. So we have the corner here. All right. Then we have the sit route or the snag by the Z. And now this puts this corner in a bind. Either the corner has to go back to guard the corner, or it has to come up to guard the snag. All right. So we're reading that. If the corner backs up, we throw the snag. If the corner comes up, we're going to throw the corner. All right. So, coach, you may say, what if corner backs up and then this middle defender comes and guards the snag? Well, that's why we have the slant backside. So against this type of defense, how we're going to read it is we're going to read corner by the Y, snag by the Z, and then slant by the X. Because how it should work is if we're looking at this space here, if there's nobody in there, throw it. If there is, move to the next read. It would then be here. Is it open? Throw it. If it's not, move to the next read. So that means that this guy's over here. This guy follows the center. Now we have all of this space over here to take advantage of with the X run the slant. Alrighty? So, next we have the blitz by the the rusher. Okay. So how we're going to read this. Now this guy goes back to middle coverage. Now we're putting this kid in a bind here. Okay. If they start dropping to the left, we're going to throw the snag by the Z. If they start drifting to the right, we're going to throw the X. Okay. If they just drift straight back, okay, we're just going to set, turn, throw to the X right here. So it should be catch a snap, one foot back, throw the ball to the X. Okay. Should just be really quickly. Because the reason why we do that is because we want this X to have some space here in between the corner and the linebacker. And so basically what we want is this linebacker is not going to be able to back up soon enough for him to really interfere with this quick throw by the X. It should be 1, 2, 3, bam. Okay. Should be that quickly. So those are the hots for that scheme. And then here, if we just run just basic drop coverage, okay? We just run drop coverage. Now all we're doing is we are picking on this corner. Either the corner backs up to guard the Y corner, or it comes up to guard the center flat. Most of the time, the center flat is going to be open. So we'll take our easy yards on first or second down, and then we'll move on to the next play. But like I said before, if there is space over here, I want my quarterback to throw it. Launch it out there, get it out to your Y, let them make a play, and even score 6 if we can get behind the defense. All right, so that's ace Y corner. All right, next we have ace curl flat. And so you can kind of tell I'm attacking a very similar part of the defense. Okay, what we're really aiming for is the bottom corners of the defense where they're giving us yardage. Okay, because the thing is if we attack the short yardage, what's going to happen? What are the other coaches going to say if we're continuously taking yardage in the short zones where the outside receivers are? Some of them are going to say, I want you to come up, come play that short zone, let the safety take care of it. Well, if you look at the other plays that we've had with these short routes, now we have longer routes going deep. So if this corner is being told by his coach, come up, all right, sure, you can come up as much as you want because we're going to go and score a touchdown over your head. Same thing with this. Okay, come up. Now we got 6. So it really puts these outside defenders on a bind because that's really what the weakness of the defense is. And so ace curl flat is no different. So if the linebacker is going to be manned up on the center, if the linebacker is going to be manned up on the center, he's basically going to come out here anyway. So we're going this way. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to, again, and this is, I know this is 10 plays, but each play can be flipped. So if you flip it, now you're attacking that left side. So if you wanted to run an offense pieced out of just the 10 plays that I give you, you have 20 plays because you can flip each play. Okay. So I know right now we're highlighting that bottom right area, but if you flip the play, now it becomes the bottom left, okay, or the short flat. Let me say that, short left flat. All right. So just keep that in mind. All right. So we're still attacking this right corner. Okay. Now they have to make a decision. Do I go back and guard the curl? We're just going to throw the flat. Now these curls are 7 steps and we're sitting down, but the biggest thing is we want the players to come back to the ball. So once you sit down, I want you to come back. I want you to, run 2, 3 steps back towards the quarterback, show hands, get ready for that football. All right. So we're backing up, then we're throwing the flat. If the corner comes up, now we have the curl. All right. So it's just even spacing, and we're putting this corner in a bind. We want them to have a bad day. We want the coaches to react. We want them to say, okay, come up, come guard the flat. because they're killing us all game with these paper cuts, death by 1,000 paper cuts. All right. And so one thing that's nice about this is since that we're but attacking the flats and the middle intermediate parts on each side, we're not attacking the middle. If they bring a blitz and they drop this linebacker back to middle coverage, now you have both sides that you can read. So whatever side your quarterback is most favorable with, we can read that side. And so for hots, I'm picking one of the flats. Who do you like better? Who's a better athlete? Okay. Most times than not, it's probably going to be your wide receiver. So I'm just going to say set, turn, throw, get some yards, rack, whatever you want to say, get the ball out. It's that simple. Okay. And so if they're running just standard zone, again, we're putting these corners in a bind. If it's a standard zone, it's pick your side. Whatever side you want, pick it because we're putting both corners in a bind with this play. Okay. Take the curl, you have the flat. Take the flat, we got the curl. And that's for both sides. All right. So that is ace curl flat. All right. So we're transitioning from our quick game to more of a drop back scheme. So this is Y cross, another staple that I've gone over before. I'll leave that link if you want a little bit different of a scenario or a little bit more of a breakdown of this play. A little bit more detailed, I should say. All right. So, basically how we're going to read this is we're just going to read this left to right. We're going to start with X, go to the center, go to the Y, go to the Z. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And so this is basically a flood to the left. So with the linebacker manned up on the center, basically going out this way. All right. So now the corner has to move back, has to respect the mandatory outside release. So we got to go that way, right? And that's whenever we get into the cross concept because we're really picking on this middle defender, okay? So the middle defender has to make a choice. Do I run with the cross or do I stay in my zone? If I run with the cross, now this Z is going to run 7 steps and cut in. So we're trying to undercut this safety. Okay, we're trying to come underneath the safety. So if they go with the cross, if this rusher goes with the cross, now we have the Z on the end. Okay, and if the rusher stays or the middle defender stays, then we have the cross in that open space that's vacated by the corner. All right. So then what if we get a blitz scheme where the linebacker goes back to the middle? All right. The hot is just the center. Because again, corner's got to respect it. So we're just leaving all this grass right here for the center. It's just that simple. If you see a blitz, it's always to the center. Okay. If you're not getting a lot of yards with your current center, you can put your Y to the center position and get your guy space, the ball in their hands with space. All right. And then if we're doing just base drop zone, okay, again, where we can pick on this corner, we can pick on the rusher, whatever it is. We can do both those things now with this play since we're not getting a blitz here. Okay, because the corner has to decide, am I going to guard the mandatory outside release and leave the center flat open, or am I going to come up and now I'm just giving away a touchdown? All right, and then even then, the rusher has to make a decision. Do I go with the cross and leave the end open, or do I stay in my zone and now the cross is open for a large gain? Either way. So this really puts multiple defenders in a bind, okay? Because even if this linebacker goes with them, now we're still picking on the rusher, okay? Because the Z, this is important, we're selling like we're going deep. So we want this corner to be pushed back. That way they're not trailing us. So I can't stress this enough. And this is something I've experienced in my coaching with this play, is that we need to make sure that the Z's are actually running 7 steps. Okay, we want to run 7 steps, and then we're going to cut in sharply. Okay, that way We want to sell like we're going deep, and then we want to come across because we're pushing this corner back. Okay, so that is Y cross. All right, next we have ace Y sail, a little bit different of variation with the backside short crosser, but again, really picking on these corners, man. That's where the weakness in the defense is. You know, whenever you see the weakness, you exploit it. And so, you know, there what this is we are putting a bunch of guys in the middle, but we're leaving the outside undermanned. And so we're going to take advantage of that. And so what we're doing um, with the sail is we have a mandatory outside release by the Z. The Y is running 7 steps and out. The center is running a flat to the right, and then the X is on a short crosser. All we're really doing, we want to see where that middle defender's at, and we just want to run right towards them. Okay? Just run right towards them. If we pass them, we want to keep going on that trajectory. But the ball should be out before then. And so this corner is really put into a bind. If the linebacker is manned up on the center, the corner has to make a decision. Okay? Corner has to decide whether or not to go with the outside release and leave the out, or they have to come up with the out and leave the outside release. Okay? It's really that simple. It's just those two reads. Okay? So now let's see if there's a blitz. You know, if they're blitzing and this guy's backing up, who's our hot? Well, the corner's going to back up with the mandatory outside release, and now we have the center in the flat. See, that's the thing. And again, it may seem repetitive, you know, the same thing. You know, we get a blitz by the rusher, the linebacker backs up, and the center, we want to throw the center of the flat. I mean, the biggest thing against the blitz is to not take any bad throws, and it's not to get sacked, you know, lose yards, feel pressure. And so once we can get the ball out of the quarterback's hands at a quick rate and be able to get good amount of yardage out of it, that's a way that you know you can have success. And so for us, how we do that is not be afraid to throw it to the center and the flat. And then even if that means you're putting your best player at center so that you know we can get those yardage, you know, you do that. You know, how manipulate your personnel as best as you can for that stuff. So it may seem repetitive, but at the same time, when it comes to beating a defense like this or defenses like this is kind of the same thing that you have to do because you have to force the defensive coaches in order to adjust. Because if they don't adjust, we'll kill them with 1,000 paper cuts. And that gets demoralizing after a while whenever it's halfway through the third quarter and we're still hitting center flats for 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, you know, or 7 or whatever. That it really frustrates people. And so frustration leads to mistakes. And that's what we want as an offense. So, you know, you may think, you know, Coach Adams just saying, okay, we're going to have these 3 routes, but really we just want to throw the center in the flat. You know, it's kind of like John Gruden with, you know, we're really thinking fullback here. Against this defense, that's just what works until they adjust. And that's where the other routes come in. Okay, so another thing that they may do, if you're going to talk about adjustments, let's say we're running center flat. They want to continue the blitz. Okay, they're gonna tell that linebacker to go with the center, guard the flat. That's why we have the short crosser backside. Because if this guy comes up and this guy goes out, where's the space? In the middle of the field, and that's where the crosser's going. So it's quarterback, hang tight a little bit, and then rip that thing across the middle. Okay. You know, that's why we have stuff in place for that. Okay. So same thing. If you know they want to keep blitzing and they want the linebacker to go with the flat, hey, throw the Y crosser right now. Because if he comes up, he goes out, where's the space? Right there. Throw the Y cross like immediately. Okay. So, you know, again, you know, flat, He's got to choose one. He can't choose both. So, you know, that's the thing. It may seem super simple, just throw it to the flat every time. But the thing is even when they adjust, there's still, that's why the other routes are in place, is so that things can happen. This is another perfect example. So this is ace drive. So again, we're reading it left to right. Okay. Mandatory outside release by the X, or if you want to, you can just have them go on a 9 route or a go. That's fine. We want to push this corner back. Okay. The center runs a flat to the left. Okay. So if they're manned up, okay, manned up at the center, we're pushing the center out that way. Now we're putting this middle defender in a bind. Okay. Either they can come up to guard the drag by the Z and leave the in by the Y open, or they can guard back because they'll probably see the Y going deep. And now we have the drag underneath for a nice easy game. And then again, same thing. If we now have blitz coming and the linebacker is going back, I realize that I put this here bad space. Let me fix that. Okay. Going back, we're gonna hit the center in the flat. We're gonna hit it in the center in the flat, because the corner is gonna back up with the go. Because if the corner doesn't back up with the go, I mean, I'll take that throw every day. Just throw it a little bit out here to where that safety can't get it. We'll take that every time. I hope they do that. I hope it, because that's the first read. Your first read is the extra go. If the cornerback backs up, now we're going to something else. Okay. So even with the linebacker goes in flat, he goes out, he comes up. We have 2 routes here. So if you want to make an even easier throw, just drop it off to the Z, let them get some rack and go. All right. I love it. You can tell the passion in my voice just from the fact that, what I've seen as far as adjustments aren't really adjustments because they don't work. So as an offensive coach, that just gets me all giddy inside. It's like I'm a kid in Christmas. And then even if, you have drop zone, okay, cornerback still got to guard. It still has to guard the go. So the flat's there. The linebacker goes with the flat. Now we're still picking on this guy. So they don't have answers for everything. All right. So if you want something from a little bit of a different formation, we're gonna go ahead and go into trips. Okay. So trips is just smash. So we're gonna go trips right smash. Really, if it's trips right smash seam, because the X is running the seam route. And really, again, we're just picking on the corner here, this right corner. So if the linebacker is manned up, okay, he's gonna go with the center. Okay, he's gonna go over here. That's fine. The seam is gonna push the rusher back. It's gonna push the safety back. Okay, that's what we want. We want the seam to be like a wall away from this concept that's happening here, which is our smash that we've kind of already gone over. So I'll go ahead and go through it quickly. How we're gonna read this. We're gonna read the Y corner first, and then the Z second on the hitch. Okay. If you have open space here, go ahead and throw it. If you don't, if you have a defender in that space, go to your next read, which is the Z. So we're just picking on this corner. Whatever this corner does, we're going to do the opposite. As long as we're correct, they'll always be wrong. All right. So if they have a blitz, and they go back, then let me fix that. That's bothering me. Okay, and they go back again. It's the same read. What's our hot? Okay, what's our hot? You could make a case the center on the out route could be the hot. That's an easier throw for you. I have no problems with that whatsoever. If you want to throw the hitch, throw the hitch. But I would say I would lean more towards the center out, just because. Let me show you. This is what 1-3-1 has lined up in whenever I've gone to trips. So that's why I'm showing you this kind of funky formation. This is what I've seen. So if they go back to the middle of the field, especially against that seam route, you have that out route. We'll take our 5 yards and move on. Okay. Or if you're confident in your quarterback or your quarterback's confident, we'll throw this hitch route. or if the corner's coming up and your quarterback's feeling really confident, we'll go ahead and throw that corner out for a touchdown too. Okay. So, and then whenever they drop zone, if they drop zone, it's still going to be the same thing, really, as with the linebacker manned up on the center, because that seam's going to force that rusher to go back. You're going to have to guard that seam route since that's the most dangerous guy. And then the safety's going to have to come back because it's having to guard that seam too, because if it doesn't, we're leaving. We're streaking butt naked down the middle of the field. Okay. And we're still reading the corner here. So, I mean, just fantastic plays here, in my opinion. Okay. Let's go something a little bit different. So this is trips to right X corner. You can also call it Dusty. You can also call it China. It just depends on what terminology you like. But really what we're reading here is we're really reading Y to Z. It's just the two little short ends, because this X is kind of like an alert. If you see open grass, go ahead and throw it. But we're really picking on, instead of the corner this time. No, coach. I know. Like, we're not picking on the corner. We're picking on this middle defender here. Okay. Because if he takes the Y, now we have this Z open, they stay back. Now we have the Y. Okay. So in this case, the linebacker's manned up on the center. Center's on a 10-yard corner or 7-yard corner. They're gonna vacate the premises. And so now this leaves this middle defender in a bind. Okay. So if I guard the Y, this is in the way. My apologies. There we go. If they guard the Y, now the Z's open, and they can, take this and get upfield that way. If they stay, now we have the Y. Now the Y can go and take it that way too. We're really picking on this guy. And like I said, if you see that there's going to be this open space here, we can throw that ball to X. That's really an alert here. If the corner backs up, we got exactly what we want, because we have one guy having to guard two routes, and that's not going to be possible. And so these end routes are just 3-step ins. Okay, we're just going to go right foot back. We're going to go 1, 2, plant on the right foot, cutter. Okay. And then if you flip it and it strips left, now we're going to have the left foot back, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3 plants on the left foot on the third step, cut in. All right. So if we have a blitz here, and this linebacker goes back, I would say probably the Z is your hot. That's what I would coach it. How I would run this is the Z is the hot, because the Y is going to be the most dangerous guy for this linebacker. So the linebacker's most likely going to guard the Y. And so if this guy comes here and we go back this way, we have that open space here for the Z to catch it in this area. Now they're going to be able to run and get some rack after that too. And then finally, for all drop zone, we're still really picking on this guy. Now, I will say the reads are going to have to be a little bit quicker. Okay. We're really focusing on this guy. I would say don't even look at, the alert here. I would say focus on this guy, whatever he chooses. If they come up to guard the Y, throw it to the Z quickly. If they stay, throw it to the Y quickly, because we don't know necessarily what this linebacker is going to do. If they back up, that's perfect. But if they stay and they kind of vacate in that area, that's where it kind of gets dicey. So, just a little asterisk here for this play. All right. And so, finally, we have trips right flood or sail. It's a little bit of an invert. Instead of the Y running the sail, we're going to have the X run the sail. And then we have a small little option route here by the Y. And we'll explain that here in a minute. So Z is a mandatory outside release. That is optional. If you want it to be a go, that's totally fine. That's no problem. But in this case, the linebacker is manned up on the center. All right, so they're going to go over here. And now we're putting this corner in a bind. And the way we're doing that, like Sale before, is we are having them choose between either staying with the go and leaving the out open, or we're coming up for the out and we're leaving the go open. And so the way we can verify that this guy's going to stay where he's at is because we're going to have a little sit route snag like we do in white corner. We're going to have it basically right in front of them. So if they leave, if they vacate the premises, now we have this open as well. So there's your counter to your counter. You're hitting on this play, and the coach is like, okay, go guard the out route by the X. Now we have the Y. And you may say, Coach, what if they ask the safety to do that? Okay, so the safety it doesn't have very good leverage. Okay. If they stand here, we're selling go. Okay. We're selling go and then we're cutting out. Okay, this is 7 steps. So right foot back, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plant on the 7th foot, and we're going to cut out at a 90-degree angle. Okay, so our leverage is in our favor, so we can make that throw if that safety's coming over. All right, and then for a blitz, this is perfect. Okay, so you have one of 2 options. If there's a blitz here, he comes down. Now, this linebacker is now in a bind. You have to make a choice. Either you can guard the snag by the Y, or you can guard the out by the center. Okay? We have to make a choice here. And then that's whenever this whip route can come in handy. Okay? So if you want to install the whip, you know, all they're going to do is they're going to sit and then release. Okay, so we're going to take 3 steps, sit, and for half a second, we're going to cut out. Okay, so if you want to make your quarterback roll out a little bit, you can do that too. Okay, just try to move the pocket. It's entirely up to you. And then, okay, so let's say, you know, if you want to do the what we had before, you know, linebacker, if they're in that case where linebacker guards the center while the rusher blitzes. Again, it's like Moses parting the Red Sea. Sorry about that. Parting the Red Sea, because if he comes down, he goes out. Now we have the snag here to go to green grass. So I mean, there's just multiple things you can do with this. Just these plays in general. And then drop zone. We're just going back to the fact that we're putting this corner in a bind. So I mean, that's 10, 20 if you want to call it, plays that beat 131. I will say this is kind of a difficult episode to put together just because of the various things that you can do within this defense. As you know, this is the only defensive scheme I've put out, has been my 131. That'll change, so stay tuned for next week. I'm going to come out with a very exotic looking defense. All right. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you want to check out some of my favorite flag pulling drills, check out the Patreon, link in the description. So once again, thank you guys so much. Coach Adam, this is Black Football Nation. Free to find the game.